Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is Aging Gracefully with Humor. Today, we're going to talk about our skin. Yes, and turning back the clock. We are going to talk about all kinds of things that you can do to refresh, look, and feel better. Joining me, as always, on this program is my friend and co-host, Kathy Fulton. Let's bring her out. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, good morning.
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, I noticed we're both showing a lot of skin today.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, you're never too old to show your skin. It's all in what your mind says, right? So.
Absolutely. So Kathy brought another fabulous guest. So she's backstage. We'll be bringing her out shortly. But before we do, you have a connection to Aging Gracefully with Humor. Tell everyone about your connection and how you support people in this way.
So, my mom has a severe cognitive impairment, and it's a very long story, but she had 2 strokes back to back while she was up from Texas visiting me, and I became her primary caregiver. Fast forward, I tried to connect with other home care agencies and tried to get care in place, but nothing seemed to be a fit. There just always seemed to be this huge disconnect. And so I thought, well, I know what people need, so I'm going to get licensed and start my own business. And so that's what I did. And my main goal and mission in all of this is to help people age in place affordably, because this is such a it can be so expensive to have care provided for you. So my mom has lived with me since 2014, and she's 91, and she's thriving. So when you approached me about doing this type of show, I was all in, because there's just so many facets of this that I don't think people realize until they're hit head on with it and don't know what to do. But it's because of the baby boomers, and I don't know, I've lost count as to how many people turn 65 every day, but it's just, there's so much information out there. So many people have gotten on board and want to help everyone to age in place as many people as they possibly can. And so that it's like I said, there's just so much information out there and so many things that I don't think people know about, that I thought, gosh, this would be a great way to help people. So there you have it.
Thanks, Kathy. And I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing, because you do it so well, and it's really important.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring out our guest, and our topic today is something that I personally love discussing. So tell us how you met Meghan Edwards, and then we'll bring her out.
Well, I have the most wonderful neighbors that I couldn't handpick. Mark and Sherry. I could not handpick better neighbors. So it's Mark and Sherry. And my best conversations are early in the morning, like when I'm taking the trash out, And this is how I found out about our guest today. I was talking to her dad, Mark, who is a prince, and her mother is a princess. I love them dearly, and her dad is always so gracious. He never bats a lash at how horrific I look, because I'm usually in my pajamas and my garden clogs and basically unrecognizable. But he never winces. He never lets on at all. And I don't know. I don't know how we started talking about Meghan, but he was telling me about this new business endeavor, and I was like, wow. This is great. And I don't think that I had a chance to say anything to him, because I'm always darting here and darting there, and so, but then shortly thereafter, Meghan's mother called me, and she was following up to Mark's conversation. And I mean, it's the great parent team they're cheering their daughter on, which I love, because I am such a huge supporter of entrepreneurs, and particularly women entrepreneurs. And so again, I didn't really have time to get into it, but I knew I put them on my to-do list to swing by and talk to them about this show and how I could really get in contact with Meghan. Well, on the day that I swung by, Meghan happened to be there. And so I don't call that any coincidence. There's no coincidence there. And was able to talk to her, and she said yes. And so here we are.
Wow, I love that. That's fabulous. And the fact you actually met in person is even better. So let's bring her out. Meghan Edwards is a nurse practitioner. She's also an entrepreneur. She's the owner and medical director at Leesburg Aesthetics in Leesburg, Virginia. Welcome to the program, Meghan.
Good morning.
Hi, Meghan.
For having me. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Dr. Jacqueline.
Hi, it's a pleasure. What a great way to get connected through your parents.
Yes, they have been wonderful. My parents, my husband, my whole family has been so supportive of this. It's been an adventure, for sure, but it's been a really good one. And with so much support behind me, it's been really good.
Congratulations. So for people who are wondering, what do you do there at Leesburg Aesthetics? Can you share more about that?
Sure. So I am a nurse practitioner, and I have been for about 11 years now. And I have always loved helping people obviously through medicine and any way that I could. And then I had my first experience with Botox, and I loved it. I loved the way that it made me feel, and my confidence, and I didn't feel like it really altered my face at all. And I thought, this is really what I want to do. I want to be able to help other people in this way. So I've looked into it for years and years now, and finally decided to do it. And so at Leesburg Aesthetics, we offer both toxin, which is like Botox, which permits, disables the neurotransmission. It does not allow your muscles to contract in the same formation, preventing wrinkles. So we offer both Botox as well as fillers. So those include the hyaluronic acid fillers, which are things that you can put in, lips and wrinkles and cheeks and all of those kinds of places that people have major concerns about.
Some of my favorite things in life, I have to say. So just a follow-up question I have. It used to be decades ago when I started getting fillers that it was only by a plastic surgeon. And since then, it's really changed to make it more prolific for people around the world to be able to get this done. So can you share a little bit about that evolution?
Yes. So it was initially only by plastic surgeons. And that is because of the complexity of your face. And when you look at all of the different parts, it's your bones and it's your muscles, it's your blood vessels, it's your fat pads, all of it all working together. And you have to really have a good basis, a good understanding of all of the facial anatomy in order to be able to inject and kind of do that correction correctly. So there is a lot of training that goes into it, as far as being able to do it. But yeah, so it went from plastic surgeons to the estheticians, and now nurses, and obviously nurse practitioners, physician assistants can all be certified as injectors for both Botox and fillers.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Kathy?
Well, I think I made it abundantly clear when we were talking that I absolutely love Botox. But one of the questions that I have always thought to myself, and just wondered, is how is it that, I mean, you see some people that have had Botox and they look refreshed. And then you see other people that have had Botox and they look like it almost, and I mean it respectfully, but I mean, their face just, it's almost like they're paralyzed. It's like and it's a weird, it's an odd look.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've seen this. And how does that come to be? Is it that the person that is administering the Botox, do they not know what they're doing, or is it the client?
So that's a great question. And there are so many things that go into that. I would have to say it's kind of twofold, in that some injectors, think that they're going to do it a very specific way, regardless of the client's desires. And some clients actually desire that completely frozen, don't want to move kind of look. I think that the companies that create these toxins, that their goal is for a more natural look, and not completely frozen. For example, Allergan, the company who makes Botox, a few years ago created this campaign for the 11s. The 11s are the lines that you can get in between your eyebrows. And their campaign was Erase the 11s. And so that brought to the forefront for everybody, like, oh my goodness, do I have those? Do I have 11s? Maybe I need this product. Maybe I need to get rid of them. So a lot of people were going to their estheticians, to their plastic surgeons, to their nurse practitioners, and saying, I need to get rid of my 11s. And that's all that I want to do so that I can continue to look natural. Well, that's fabulous. But the problem is that, again, like I said before, your face is so complex, and it's kind of divided into thirds. You have your upper third, your middle third, and your lower third. And that upper third, the muscles in your forehead connect to the muscles in between your eyebrows, connect to the muscles around your eyes. And so by only treating one area, you can really pull and kind of distort another area of your face. And so if you go in and have a very specific expectation of, I am only going to do this treatment, a good esthetician, nurse practitioner, plastic surgeon is going to tell you that can't really be, because if we're only treating one specific area, you're going to move all of those other places, and you're going to create an odd look.
Right. And so, because I've had Botox, or I've been getting Botox since I think I was 30. So, I've had lots of conversations over the years, and the different ones that I've gone to, because I've moved from one area to another, have said, when you do this, sometimes your face muscles, I guess they compromise, and you begin to, yeah, and you create more of a problem, because I've been told that I have I use my facial expressions a lot, never really realized it. And so that's, that's what I've always been told. Well, one area that has always like bothered me and is and I don't smoke. I've never smoked, but it's the lines that, are around the lips. And my mom has them, and now I have them at almost 57. And it's like, and so they've done the Botox there, but it's like, I want them gone. I want these gone. But then I watch myself eat. Okay. You think you got too much time on your hands, but it's like, I've watched myself eat, and it's like, how do I change that? I mean, do I just need to go to all liquids? Because it's like, it's never going to leave. It's like I either can chew or just sip, not both. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting if you look at the aging process, right? Starting in your 20s and kind of moving through life, the natural changes that go through your face, your everything from your bone structure to your fat pads, to your musculature, to the changes in your skin, are all changing. And aging is a very complex and a dynamic process. The extent of aging and the rate at which we all age is very different for all of us. But those changes do all happen. Over time, our face goes from kind of an inverted triangle, kind of wider at the top and more narrow down toward the chin, to kind of flattened out, where our jowls and our chin become a lot heavier, and cheeks and eye orbits and everything have kind of started to sag. And so trying to prevent or prolong that process is part of what we're doing, in reintroducing the hyaluronic acid, and then also preventing some of that muscle movement. It's the muscle movement that causes those fine lines, which eventually become wrinkles. So all of those movements begin as a dynamic wrinkle. And that means that the wrinkle will cause the skin to wrinkle when you make that movement. And then as soon as you're done, the skin returns to kind of its baseline. It returns to that flat, kind of polished appearance. And then as we age, that wrinkle becomes more static. It becomes kind of put into place, where after you're done with that facial movement, it relaxes, but you can still see that line. And so either stopping that movement or filling that movement in is part of what we do to help prevent that aging process.
Meghan, thank you so much for explaining that. We do have some visuals, which I'd love to pull up and have you walk us through.
Yeah.
Just take this down. Okay. Tell us about this one, please.
So this one, I wanted you guys to see, just to kind of show the complexity of the musculature that we're working with. So I had initially talked about those 11s right in the middle of the eyes, where your eyebrows come together. And you can kind of see how that connects to the frontalis muscle, which is the forehead, the large muscle that runs all the way across your forehead. Also connects to those circular muscles right around your eyes. So all of that is deeply connected. And then it even connects to your nasal muscles. Some people call them the bunny lines, the little lines that you can get on the sides of your nose. And so all of those things, can be changed by the other muscles. And so we also call it chasing lines. You know, when someone says, well, it's just this line, or it's just my crow's feet that bother me, or it's just this, you know, if we're going to chase those little lines, we're going to create other lines elsewhere. So it's why it's really important to do kind of an all-in approach.
I'm really glad you shared that. That makes a lot of sense. When I think I've been getting this done for 20 some plus years and no one's ever said that. That's interesting because they're all connected. So a
Mhm.
question I have is there's Botox and then there's some others. Does it matter which specific filler it is if it's for paralyzing the muscle? Because sometimes we'll say, oh, we have a promotion on this instead of Botox.
That's a great question. So Botox is the one that's kind of most well known as a neurotoxin, and you know, like I explained earlier, it prevents that connection that allows that muscle to move. So it kind of paralyzes it. The difference between the Botox and the Xeomin and the Juvia and the Dysport are all the protein that is bound to the botulinum toxin. So they all work in the same way. They all work with the same neurotoxin. The difference is kind of the tail that's off of the end, the small protein that's attached in the way that they work. Some people think that some of them respond better for them, and that can be very true. We're all very different, and so sometimes it can be definitely a personal preference. Some injectors may have a preference as to which one they feel works better given their injection techniques and everything, but when it comes down to it, they are all very similar.
Thank you. Great information. A follow up, as we get older, everything starts to go down, right? And
Yes.
there are some things we can do to lift the skin up with using injections and fillers. Can you speak to that?
Yes, definitely. So as the skin starts to sag, doing things like building up the cheeks can help kind of pull everything up. For a while there, a lot of injectors were doing focused really around the mouth, around the nasal labial folds, which are the folds kind of on the sides of the nose. People really didn't want those. And so they were injected more and more, people started to have sort of a more pulled forward face. And they weren't appreciating that look either. And so it's kind of evolved and changed over time. And now the focus is more on building up cheek volume to kind of help pull that skin up. And then as far as prevention, you know, a lot of people are now starting Botox in their 20s and early 30s to prevent those more static lines. They're seeing that they're having some of those dynamic lines, that they're having some more movement than they noticed in their early 20s or in their adolescence, and they're wanting to kind of preserve what they have and not allow it to worsen by using the Botox starting before the wrinkles even start. Some people have waited until later in life, and they think, well, my goodness, why did I wait so long? You know, I feel so refreshed. I look brightened and I look awake and alert, and I think it's a really great feeling.
Yes, it is. And as I mentioned backstage, I haven't had my Botox for a year. So I'm excited to have that refreshing look because you really
Yay!
do feel better about yourself. I don't know why. So, a question I have also is there anything we can do after we get the treatment so that it lasts longer? I mean, is it okay to should we be moving our face, like moving, or should we try just to not show as much expression? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great question. So immediately after the treatment, you do want to keep your face kind of as still as possible. Not a whole lot of expression, because your injector has injected the toxin kind of exactly where we want it. You can use different dilutions to have the toxin move to a certain diameter or a certain space in your face. And we want it to stay there until it kind of fully takes effect. There are a lot of kind of social, environmental things that we can do too to help the treatments last. Obviously, taking care of your skin, right? Washing off makeup every night, using a good facial cleanser, moisturizing is super important. One of the most important things is wearing SPF, and it's evident in some clients that they drive a lot for their jobs, because you can actually notice a difference on the left side of their face from being in the car, kind of having that light hitting that left side. So making sure that you're just taking care of that top layer of your skin really well can help with a lot of those things too. Obviously, nutrition, not smoking, and then the higher your metabolism, so the more that you kind of work out, the more active you are, the faster you can burn through some of the toxin. So it's advised to not do any really aggressive workouts for the first 24 hours after you've received the treatment.
Oh my goodness, more amazing information. I would go and work out like 2 hours later. Oh, thank you so much for sharing all of this. We do have a couple of other graphics. Let's take a look at these and let us know what we're looking at, please.
Okay, so this shows kind of the facial changes over time, starting in your 20s, moving through your 60s. And you can kind of see how the skin laxity increases, how everything kind of moves from, if you start at her eye, kind of down toward her chin, the skin kind of starts to droop. She's obviously adding some more lines, not only to her cheeks, but foreheads and kind of around her eyes. And so this is a schematic of the natural progression. And obviously the first one on the left there in the 20s is what we're trying to preserve, what we want to kind of maintain. I think it's interesting how some people don't necessarily want to admit, that they have used any injectables, any Botox or any fillers. But I feel like deep down, we're all chasing that fountain of youth.
Yes, and when I think of people saying age naturally, I'm thinking, no, I don't think so. When I look at these
Yes,
pictures.
and we need to age gracefully, which means retaining the fullness of our features, smoothing our facial contours, and kind of a gradual transition between the areas of our face without anything being too aggressive.
Yes. Sorry, Kathy, I have one more question. Just what happens under our eyes? We saw in that graphic. Let me bring it back up. Look at the progression here.
Yes, yes.
So what is that about?
So that is the movement of the fat pads. So when you are, young and youthful, you have all of this subcutaneous fat, all of the baby fat, really, and we have it all over our bodies, kind of all over our face. And as we age, like everything else, it just kind of moves down. It moves out of the way, and it allows that super thin skin that's under our eyes to just really wrinkle up.
So sad. When I was at the dermatologist, I asked him about it, and he actually took one of those orange sticks, and the skin rolled all the way over. I was like, oh, I need some help.
So thin. Yes.
Thank you. Kathy, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got about 10 questions, but I'll keep it. I'm so glad that your parents are my neighbors. And next time I see you over there, I'm going to wheel over. I don't care if I interrupt your workout or not. I'm coming in.
Yay.
No. But okay, so as far as the fat pads, okay, so how do we get the fat pads to leave the rest of our body? That's a joke. But okay, so what do you do for this, Meghan? Is there an injectable, or what's the help?
So number one, obviously the prevention, right? You can use the Botox to prevent that that movement before it gets to be too crazy. The more movement that you have in your skin and in your musculature, the more kind of movement that you're going to have underneath. You're going to move those fat pads a little bit more, and you're going to have some degradation of your bone under there. So number one, we can use Botox to help kind of prevent. And then once that skin gets really thin, and or you're starting to have what are called hollows, so a tear trough hollow, you can have those filled with a hyaluronic acid, and each molecule of hyaluronic acid can hold, I think it's like 1,000 times its weight in water, and so even after those are filled, they can continue to kind of plump and pull moisture into that area, and again giving you that more refreshed, relaxed, more awake appearance.
Is there any downtime to this? Any time we have to take off from work?
So with both Botox and fillers, you can have some bruising. You can have a little bit of redness with the fillers, and maybe a little bit of tenderness where the fillers have been placed. But beside that, not too much. The recommendation is to not consume any alcohol at least 24 hours before your procedure, and 24 hours after your procedure, just because it does thin your blood a little bit, and it leads to more bruising and stuff. Also, alcohol avoidance in general, it's just better for your skin.
And so, I love, oh, sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
No,
I know we both have so many questions.
Okay, so does it hurt when you're putting this, did you call it the hydraulic, or no,
the hyaluronic acid?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That. Does that hurt? It sounds like it would hurt.
So it can be a little bit tender. And it does depend on the injection technique. There are some things that we can do to help mitigate the pain. So things like lidocaine, which help to block the pain. Also using things like distraction techniques can also help. It's not something that you need any pain medication for, but sometimes just a little numbing to help take the edge off. The Botox, however, most people say feels like a little pinch. It's nothing that is too painful. It does need to be injected in several different locations. We talked about all those different muscles. And so it is a series of small pinches.
Yeah. I have a tendency to say some not very nice things when I'm being injected. Sorry. Just full disclosure there. I can't help it. After all these years, I'm still a big baby about it. They have to give me like these stress squeeze ball things because anyway, like I said, I'm just a big baby about it. But also I wanted to give you the opportunity for you to tell our audience how the patient, client, or how you go and deliver this, because I think you have a very interesting approach. So I'm trying to get it out. I don't want to steal your thunder, because it's awesome. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So I have set up a clinic room in my home where I invite clients in to do consultation and treatments here. And then I also offer a mobile Botox service where I will come to you, and we can schedule it, as needed. So the Botox is recommended to be every 3 to 4 months for that maintenance, and we can schedule it, and I can be at your house. It's a quick and easy process, and then you don't have to worry about getting out anywhere.
Oh my gosh, Meghan, how far will you go? Are you coming to New Jersey?
When you come visit, you let me know. I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I think that that's amazing because I just know in my own life, it is the person that I've gone to. I mean, it's just, it's a chore. So
Yes. The
now,
drive there, and then waiting in the waiting room, and all of those things. So, yeah, I wanna make it as easy as possible.
yeah, I think that that's amazing. And I mean, just with some people are still scared to go out because of COVID. I mean, it's just, so I think you are one smart cookie. I think that's a great approach. And I know you're having great response to that. So,
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. I've never heard of this before. And to your point, I was living in Pennsylvania, and the person I was going to for this 20 some years, she's there. And then when I moved down here, I'm like, I am not going there anymore. So it's, yeah, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
yeah,
Exciting.
I was, I think your mom shared that with me, and I was like, wow. And I think then you and I had a conversation about it. I was like,
Mhm.
wow, how can that be? Because I mean, I was just thinking, I mean, I'm so glad that is allowed. But I was thinking, I'm rolling back, to my 30s where everything had to be. It was just so. I guess it was just such a new area that
Yeah.
there seemed to be like so many guidelines. But I mean, I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the easiest to get started with. So it took a lot of kind of finagling and a lot of research. But being able to kind of put it all together, I think it is worth it for me, and my clients as well. Everybody seems pretty happy with it so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. And another reason why I think it's so great is because typically when you have any kind of office space, it's such a huge part of your overhead. And so, I mean, then this way, because I understand that your pricing is very reasonable. And so, I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm just envisioning like you're going to office buildings where, I mean, you could do this on people's lunch break,
Yes, yes.
kind of have like a lunch and learn, if you will.
Megan, a question I have for you is as we age, there's some places in our body that are really telltale signs of our age, like our hands and also our neck. Is there
Yeah,
anything we can do with fillers for these areas?
definitely. Both fillers, and Botox. You can do Botox in your neck. So some people get kind of these long, thin lines in their neck, and they are musculature that are just extremely strong. So you can use Botox to kind of calm those down. Um, and then for the backs of your hands, there are fillers that you can use to kind of restore that plumpness, to your skin. Again, using the moisturizer and the SPF, daily help with that as well. But you can definitely inject those areas and kind of restore all of that plumpness, that subcutaneous fat and everything that we lose as we age.
Yay, that's good news.
Yeah.
Now, one more question I have for you is there ever a point where it's too late for fillers or it's time for the facelift or it's time for some other type of surgery? When does that happen if it does?
So that is a challenging question. So there is a point at which the laxity in the lower face is just too great to be restored with the fillers. It would take too many syringes of filler. Number one, to be safe, and then and number two, to kind of give you that desired appearance. Um, when that point is better determined, case by case. Um, as far as how much work would have to be done for the person.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Well, I think it's time for everyone to take a road trip to Virginia. Because, so we've actually come to the end of our program, and I'm sad because I'm really enjoying this. But can you share, Meghan, with our audience who are unable to read the banner or they're listening on the radio, what's the best way for people to reach out to you and start booking in for appointments?
Yes, you can email me, Meghan, Meghan, at leesburgaesthetics.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Leesburg Aesthetics, and also on Instagram at Leesburg Aesthetics.
Fabulous. Thank you. And congratulations. I'm really happy for you and excited for this this mobile Botox filler mobile that you've created, sort of, not a mobile, but
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. This has been such a joy and really great.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back on this or any of our other now 27 shows a week. So take care and continued success to you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Meghan.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Wow, Kathy, I didn't even run any of the sponsorships. I was so engrossed in the conversation.
I know. Isn't she great? I mean, I knew you were going to love this one. And I don't even think I told you about the mobile.
No, you didn't say no. I love that.
I saved it. I knew you would love that. I mean, when I heard that, you know me, the serial entrepreneur, I mean, the wheels started turning. I'm like, okay, maybe she'll franchise this. Maybe she'll, I'm thinking of all these different ways. I can't wait to see how she expands. Because there's, I want to ask her about one procedure that, the lady that I've gone to for years, because I just to go off of what Meghan was saying just a minute ago about using the number of syringes safely. Every time I go in, it's like I have a new line, and I'm like, okay, so what about this, and what about that, and what about this, and it was about 2 or 3 months ago. She finally just looked at me and she goes, I can't fill them all in, Kath. I can't, and it's like. And I started laughing. And so, but then we started talking about this other procedure where, and I'm so bad at all these names, but it basically, it's like this huge peel. And the results are pretty amazing. So I'm wondering if Meghan will start doing that. And so, it's a must. She must come back. Meghan must return.
It's a brilliant concept when you think about it. Everybody being able to stay in place, so to speak, and she comes to them. I can't believe that no one's thought of this before. I hadn't even thought of it myself. It's genius. So I think also I have a number 11, but it's really turned into like a 17 over time. Like it's branched out even further, and it's hard. They like that's an area for me where I don't think they can keep putting in what needs to be required. So sometimes when I think about it, I actually will take tape and pull it and sleep like this. It's like crazy.
Well, speaking of tape, my mom and grandmother have put Scotch tape in the middle of their forehead, in between their eyebrows, for years. I'm sure my dad was just always thrilled with that. Yeah.
You pull it back up like this, or
no, like horizontally. I don't know. I mean, their techniques, I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure my dad was just like, what do you have on? What is this?
Well, it's great that we have these treatments now that we can do. Just a quick funny story, and I think I told you this. I was living in Florida, and I got a bunch of fillers the night before. I had this huge meeting, and my boss flew in for the meeting, and he said, when I picked him up at Fort Lauderdale, he said, "What the F did you do to yourself?" So my lips were like this, and it was classic. And I went to the meeting with these two young guys, the clients, and I was sweating. Sweat was pouring down my back because I couldn't move my lips like this. I didn't tell the doctor that I had this meeting. And my boss actually had to take off his jacket. He's bald. His head was dripping with sweat because he was looking across at me. Oh my God, you look like a freak. But the clients never said anything about it. And the next day, or the day after my lips came down, I never got that done again. That was painful. The
I
lips.
can't imagine why.
That was really
Well,
painful.
I mean, one time I had a bad experience, and I think it's because I took Motrin a couple of, or like the day before. But anyway, I had the Juvederm filler, and there was like a huge bruise down here, and it was so black and blue. Makeup wouldn't even cover it up. And so everybody, of course, was asking me what happened. And I just lied. And I said, I tripped and I hit a cabinet, and, but ultimately it went away. But when it's on your face like that, it's like, it seems like it's never going to disappear. I even had one person say, "Did your husband hit you?"
Oh my gosh. Wait, I have to say, I found the picture. I just have to show it. Can you
Oh,
see it?
but you know what? I mean, it's really, unless you'd said something, it's really not that bad. But you know
I
your point
couldn't
of
move.
reference.
I couldn't move my lips.
The
Oh my
things we
gosh.
do to maintain beauty, right? I mean,
Yes, for sure. But we really have to go because we
okay.
have the next show coming up. So I'm going to spotlight you, and if you can share with people how they can connect with you and work with you, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. So, if you have a loved one that you would like to see them be able to age in place in their existing home, feel free to reach out to me. I'm at 703-402-1172. I'd love to work with you.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Kathy. We'll be coming right back with What's Trending with Kathy Fulton. And then we'll be coming back right after that with Kathy Fulton on Talking Heads. So it's the Kathy Fulton morning.
I know you just can't get rid of me today.
All right, my
I'll see
friend,
you
I'll
there.
close out the show and see you over in the other studio.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, folks, so we have a full lineup today. Let me just check it out. So I shared with you the shows that Kathy's on. After that, we have the Corner Bookstore with Diane Floyd Bain. Then we have the Film and Music Show with Madeline Chan. Then we have the Wise Ones with Red O'Laughlin. And then Red O'Laughlin does his Talking Heads. And I'm actually doing a Talking Heads today, right after Kathy. I will be continuing with my playlist of lessons on how to listen at an elevated level. If you don't know, aside from being the president and founder of USA Global TV, I also have a second business, which is Dr. JACALYN LLC, where I am a certified life and career coach, a certified meditation teacher, a certified yoga instructor, and I'm called the listening mentor because I teach people how to listen at an elevated level. We'll be watching a role play today and taking away some tips as we watch other people's behavior. We can always see what someone else is doing that might not be effective, but we can't see what we're doing. So when we watch role plays, we can actually identify with the people in the role play and go, oh yes, I've done that. So do join me for that. That is at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time today, or 4:30 British Summer Time. Thank you again. We'll be right back. And thank you to Meghan, and thank you to Kathy, and thank you to each and every one of you. Bye for now.